Let me tell you, this Christmas is supposed to be the season of love-warm hugs and gifts that make you feel like someone out there actually appreciates you. But yeah, life isn't always hot, cocoa smooth. Sometimes right in the middle of twinkly lights and loud jingle beats, a gift shows up that makes you stare at it and think, okay, why is this happening to me? So tonight I'm taking you on a little trip. A bit funny, a bit lightly, tragic and full of moments where you laugh because humans are just peak ridiculous. Picture this, you're curled up on a soft couch, the cold outside is just enough to make you pull the blanket up a little, and we're about to kick off a very special award show called 31 Christmas Gifts. So bad you just scream. Why? And look, I've gotten a few gifts that made me go completely blank, but my personal horror stories can wait. Right now it's time to open the first gift of the night. Story 1, the scale that kicked off Christmas. So picture this, a middle-class American family in the suburbs has just finished Christmas dinner. Everyone is still sitting around the table. The air smells like turkey and pumpkin pie. Then the husband stands up, looking way too proud, holding a gift box just mysterious enough to make everyone lean in. He hands it to his wife. She opens it, and inside is a brand new digital scale. The whole room freezes. Her mom does this tiny cough like she is announcing the incoming storm. Her sister immediately whips out her phone to record the moment. The wife gives a little smile, calm, dangerous, and she goes, "Thank you. I mean, after dinner, I guess I do need this." That night, after everyone left, she took the scale to the garage and set it in a dark corner where no one would ever see it again. Narrator wraps it up. Christmas does not need fireworks. One scale is enough to make everything explode. Story 2. Uncle Larry and the half-used deodorant. Every American family has that one person who picks gifts everyone secretly fears. In this family, that honor belongs to Uncle Larry. That year, while everyone gathered around the tree, he handed his nephew a small gift wrapped in old newspaper. Suspicious on sight, the kid opened it and immediately flatlined. Inside was a half-used Old Spice deodorant. The cap still had a few mystery hairs stuck to it. The scent was so strong it blasted through the room in seconds, and the whole family leaned back like an invisible shockwave just hit them. The poor kid forced out a thank you smile. His mom stared at the ceiling asking for divine patience. His dad suddenly got very busy pouring water so he would not have to comment on whatever this was. Narrator wraps it up. In the US, regifting is normal, but giving someone something you already used and used that personally is no longer saving money. It is basically a public health violation. Story 3. The lonely sock at the white elephant party. That year's white elephant party was already expected to get weird, but nobody predicted the absolute chaos that would come from one single gray sock. When our main character opened the box, the whole room went silent for a few seconds and then cracked up. It was an oldish sock. Just one. No partner. It looked less like a Christmas gift and more like something that escaped someone's laundry basket. And instantly the debates began. Someone said it was a deep metaphor about holiday loneliness. Someone else swore the giver just grabbed the first thing they saw. The person who brought it refused to admit anything, turning the whole party into a tiny courtroom drama. By the end of the night, the sock had become a celebrity. People took photos, made memes, posted it online like it was a local legend. And when the party ended, nobody took it home. So the sock stayed behind, sitting alone on top of the fridge, looking like it was contemplating its entire existence. Story 4. The Nicolas Cage pillowcase. In a college dorm, Marissa got a Christmas gift from her roommate. A pillowcase printed with the wildest Nicolas Cage face the internet has ever produced. At first she thought, no problem, I will just flip it over. But in the middle of the night, she rolled the pillow like she always does, opened her eyes, and saw Cage staring straight at her in the dim hallway light. She screamed so loud the whole floor woke up. From that day on, the pillowcase became shared property. Students passed it around to scare each other in the bathroom, in the hallway, or when someone fell asleep over their homework. Every time Cage appeared, the victim jumped like they had just witnessed a meme coming back to life. Narrator wraps it up. For Americans, Nicolas Cage is not just an actor. He is the embodiment of every expression no one asked for. And putting that face on your pillow is basically the ultimate Christmas curse. Story 5. The boss who gifted everyone a portrait of himself. At a mid-sized American company's Christmas party, the big boss decided to give every employee a gift he described as inspiring. One by one, the small boxes were handed out. Everyone was buzzing, waiting for the big reveal. Then they opened them, and the whole room went silent. Inside each box was a fancy picture frame holding a portrait of the boss himself. He was in a shiny suit, smiling confidently like he was about to run for office. The stare in that photo was so intense it basically turned every desk into a long-distance surveillance station. Everyone had to pretend they loved it. They put the photos on their desks like good corporate citizens. But a few days later, the portrait started disappearing behind computer monitors, getting blocked by little desk plants, or conveniently hidden behind stacks of sticky notes. Narrator wraps it up. In American corporate life, sometimes a Christmas gift tells you exactly who thinks they are the center of the universe. Story 6. The expired coupon book. That Christmas, Emily got a gift from her aunt, the one famous for being frugal and unbelievably proud of her bargain hunting skills. Inside the box was a thick coupon book filled with discounts for grocery stores, restaurants, and coffee shops all over town. Emily was honestly excited. It looked practical, thoughtful, and very on brand for her aunt. But as she flipped through the pages, her joy disappeared faster than a Black Friday deal. Every coupon was expired. Some had expired the year before, and her aunt had still saved them like they were treasure. Even though she was disappointed, Emily decided to test her luck and took one coupon to the nearby grocery store. The cashier looked at the coupon, then at Emily, with the kind of gentle pity usually reserved for lost puppies, and quietly told her it had expired a long time ago. Emily walked out of the store feeling like she had been gifted a book full of opportunities that had already packed their bags and left. Story 7. The pet leash for a pet rock. Mark once got a pet rock as a kid, and that weird gift became a running joke in his friend group. This year, one of his old friends decided to level up the story by giving him a tiny pet leash with a note saying it was so his rock would not feel lonely on walks. Mark thought it was just a joke, but after being dared, he actually took the rock out for a stroll around the suburb. The scene was unreal. Mark was walking seriously with the leash, and at the end of it sat a rock lying perfectly still on the sidewalk. Neighbors passing by gave him that confused stare, unsure if he was joking or going through something. Dogs nearby started barking like he was dragging around some mysterious creature. Kids followed him asking if the rock had a name. One elderly lady even offered to help him find a vet. Meanwhile, his friends stood far away filming, laughing so hard they could not breathe. Narrator wraps it up. In America, people can sell anything, even a pet leash for something that is not alive in the first place. Story 8. The PlayStation 5 for both of us. That Christmas, Jake gave his wife Emma a brand new PlayStation 5. When she opened it, she looked a little confused because she had never played games. But Jake jumped in fast, saying this was a gift for both of us. Very sweet on paper. 3 days later, both of us somehow met Jake and his entire friend group. They took over the living room, ate pizza, yelled at the screen, while Emma quietly cleaned the kitchen like a background character in her own house. One night, Emma mentioned she wanted to watch TV. Jake said just one more game, but one more game turned into hours, so Emma switched strategies. The next morning, she installed Netflix on the PS5 and started her favorite show right at the exact time Jake planned to play. When he asked what was going on, Emma just smiled and said, "You told me this was for both of us." Narrator wraps it up. If you give someone a gift based on your own hobby, be ready to actually share it. Schatten. Story 9. The Bacon of the Month Club for a vegan Lily had been fully vegan for 10 years, but her parents still thought it was just a temporary rebellion. So that Christmas, they gave her a subscription to the Bacon of the Month Club, a monthly delivery of bacon straight to her door. When Lily opened the box and saw the smoked meat, her parents clapped like they had finally nailed the perfect gift. Lily sighed and gently reminded them she had not eaten meat since 2013. The living room fell into that very specific awkward silence where everyone tries to disappear into the furniture. But the story did not end there. Every month, the bacon box still showed up at Lily's doorstep. She started giving it to her neighbors. The neighbors gave it to their friends. And somehow, the bacon made its way around the entire neighborhood like a communal reminder of one big misunderstanding. Eventually, Lily gathered all the remaining boxes and donated them to a fundraiser for an animal shelter. Narrator wraps it up. In America, sometimes the generation gap is measured in bacon. Story 10. The diet book right before Christmas dinner. On Christmas afternoon, just as the whole family was about to sit down to a gorgeous spread of turkey and mashed potatoes, Anna's mother-in-law suddenly handed her a small gift. She smiled with that look people get when they think they're about to deliver the most meaningful present of the season. Anna opened it and found a thick diet book with a giant title on the cover that said, "Change Your Body Starting Today." The room froze. Everyone stared down at their plates, but you could feel the side-eye happening in real time. Anna said nothing. She calmly flipped to a page titled, "Do Not Ruin Someone Else's Meal," and started reading it out loud, sentence by sentence, in the gentlest voice. Her mother-in-law flinched a little. Her father-in-law adjusted his napkin like it suddenly needed ironing. Her husband looked away like he was praying for a miracle portal to open. Narrator wraps it up. In American families, passive aggression is a long-standing tradition, but responding with calm, quiet precision is the true master level. Story 11. The life-size cardboard stranger. Alex, a hardcore basketball fan, got excited when he saw an unusually huge Christmas present from his roommate. He figured it had to be a poster of his favorite team, or maybe some collector's item he had been dreaming about. But when he opened it, Alex just stopped breathing for a second. Inside was a life-size cardboard cutout of some B-list player from the 90s he had never even heard of. His roommate was insanely proud, insisting this was pure sports heritage. Alex, meanwhile, was living in fight-or-flight mode. The cutout was nearly 2 meters tall and stood right in the living room. Every time Alex went to grab water at midnight, it looked like a silent man watching him from the shadows. His friends loved it way more than he did. They took photos with it, posed dramatically, and even gave the mystery player a name, like he had officially joined the squad. Narrator wraps it up. Some gifts reveal not what the receiver loves, but just how weird the giver's imagination truly is. Story 12. The whole chicken in a can that Christmas. Jenna's aunt, the one so frugal she keeps crumpled gift bows for, later handed the couple a can labeled whole chicken. The label actually looked kind of nice, so they thought it might be an easy dinner for busy days. But the moment they opened it, a strange smell floated out and both of them stepped back. A layer of cloudy gel wobbled like something from a sci-fi movie, and then the whole chicken slid out pale, limp, and looking like it had just woken up from a suspiciously long nap. They just stared at it, unsure whether to scream or laugh. The two of them debated whether they should actually eat it. Jenna's husband said canned food lasts forever, so it must be safe. Jenna said the fact that it lasts forever is exactly what makes it terrifying. In the end, they chose survival. They put the can in the garage, and the next Halloween, it became a jump scare prop. One twist of the lid was enough to make grown adults scream like kids. Narrator wraps it up. Some Christmas gifts end up being useful in ways absolutely no one expected. Story 13. The 5,000-piece puzzle of pure emotional damage. That Christmas, Ethan's dad proudly announced he had found the most intellectually stimulating gift ever. Ethan opened the box and just froze. It was a 5,000-piece puzzle, all one color, a single, endless shade of blue. No pattern, no hints, just the ocean of despair in cardboard form. The whole family agreed to try it for bonding. 3 hours later, they had completed 4 pieces, and even those 4 were questionable. The mood went from excited to confused to why are we still alive? Ethan's dad kept cheering them on, but his voice got quieter each time he looked at the sea of identical pieces spread across the table like a psychological experiment gone wrong. Eventually, everyone surrendered. They swept the pieces into a tray, set it in the corner of the living room, and officially named it the Shrine of Failure. Anyone walking by would sigh like they were revisiting the worst decision of their lives. Narrator wraps it up. Sometimes a gift is not a test of intelligence. Sometimes it is simply a very polite form of mental torture. Story 14. The gold-plated toilet paper holder. Sarah was all about minimalism. She told her boyfriend 1,000 times she only wanted practical, simple gifts. But that Christmas, he showed up with a giant box and the most confident smile known to mankind. Inside was a gold-plated toilet paper holder, shiny enough to star in a rap music video. He proudly explained it would elevate the luxury of her bathroom. Sarah stared at this sparkling monument to unnecessary spending, unsure whether to laugh or sigh. To her, it was completely useless. To him, it was proof that he was high effort, high class, and apparently very committed to bathroom aesthetics. All holiday long, they kept circling around tiny conversations full of polite subtext, both slowly realizing they lived by very different philosophies of life. After New Year's, they agreed to break up peacefully. The gold holder eventually made its way onto Facebook Marketplace with the caption, "Like new, way too fancy for my life." Story 15. The world's okayest brother. Mug Jake and his sister Lily grew up in an American household where sibling rivalry was as natural as breathing. From basketball shootouts to fighting over the last slice of pizza, neither of them ever backed down. So that Christmas, Jake was hoping Lily would finally give him something genuinely nice after a whole year of roasting him. But when he opened the box, he found a white mug that said, "World's okayest brother." Not best, not great, okayest. A compliment so low effort it barely avoids being an insult. The whole family burst out laughing while Jake pretended to be personally wounded. A few days later, the mug basically became part of his identity. Every morning he lifted it like a championship trophy, while Lily kept teasing him about maintaining his title as the most okay brother on earth. Narrator wraps it up. In America, teasing is a love language, and sometimes a mug celebrating your glorious okayness is the purest affection there is. Story 16. The two-person Snuggie. At the friend group's Christmas party, the newly dating couple Megan and Tyler got a gift everyone called extremely cute, a Snuggie made for two people. Everyone cheered and the couple awkwardly put it on to make the crowd happy. At first it seemed fine, but when they tried taking a few steps, they wobbled like they were in a three-legged race, going terribly wrong. Megan tripped on the edge of the rug, Tyler tried to catch her, and instead they dumped an entire mug of hot cocoa across the coffee table. Their friends were dying laughing while the two of them tried to stay calm inside this fleece trap. Then came TV time, which made everything worse. They could not agree on watching a movie or football, and trying to fight for the remote while physically fused together inside one giant Snuggie was basically impossible. Narrator wraps it up. If a couple can survive winter in a two-person Snuggie, that might actually be true love. Or at least world-class endurance. Story 17. The taxidermy squirrel with a saxophone that Christmas. Uncle Gary, the man who proudly calls himself a pioneer of weird art, decided to gift his niece Harper a decor piece he believed would transform her living room. When Harper opened the box, she almost dropped it. Inside was a taxidermy squirrel, eyes wide, frozen mid-stare, holding a tiny brass saxophone like it was about to perform the final jazz solo of its afterlife. It stood on a wooden base, fully committed to the bit. The family placed it on the fireplace mantel so they would not hurt Gary's feelings. Immediately, every guest who walked in stopped dead for a few seconds, trying to find words that would not offend anyone. The kids flat out refused to walk past the living room after 7 p.m. One even swore they heard saxophone music at midnight. The family held a meeting to decide whether to keep it or get rid of it. Keeping it felt bizarre. Throwing it away felt dangerous. And disappointing Gary? Also dangerous. Narrator wraps it up. Some gifts fall somewhere between dead art and dead taste, and the jazz squirrel is the perfect example. Story 18. The one-year gym membership. That Christmas, Ryan got an envelope from his family. He figured it had to be a restaurant gift card or maybe tickets to a basketball game, but when he opened it, he just froze. Inside was a full one-year gym membership. No explanation. Just a note that said, "Hope you get healthier in the new year." The message was crystal clear in a way that stung a little. Ryan was annoyed at first. He insisted he was perfectly fine, just slightly more devoted to pizza than the average person. But to prove it, he decided to go work out. Day 1, he ran like a champion. Day 3, he started negotiating with himself. By week 2, he vanished from the gym like he had never signed up in the first place. The membership card stayed on the kitchen counter, staring at him every time he opened a midnight pizza box. He looked at the card. The card looked back. Both of them failing in a very predictable American way. Narrator wraps it up. In American culture, fitness often travels with a side of guilt, and no gift communicates that message better than a gym membership wrapped in expectations. Story 19. The winning lottery ticket. That wasn't in Marty's family. Christmas always came with at least one dangerously bold prank. That year, his kids decided to give him a lottery ticket showing a jackpot win. When he checked the numbers, his eyes went wide and his hands started shaking. He instantly launched into plans about paying off the house, buying his dream truck, taking his wife to Hawaii. The whole room lit up with his excitement. Then he flipped the ticket over and saw the tiny print. No cash value. For entertainment only. The joy on his face dropped so fast the room went quiet. The kids were ready to laugh, but even they slowed down when they realized just how hard that emotional whiplash hit him. That night, the family held an emergency meeting to discuss the limits of Christmas pranks. Narrator wraps it up. A prank can make the holiday fun, or turn it into an emotional roller coaster nobody actually signed up for. Story 20. The half-eaten box of chocolates. At the friend group's Christmas gift exchange, Jenna received a beautifully wrapped box of chocolates. But the second she opened it, she knew something was off. The inside looked suspiciously empty. All the good pieces, caramel, hazelnut, dark chocolate, were gone. Only the sad mint and coconut leftovers remained. The ones nobody eats unless it is an emergency. The whole group immediately launched a mini investigation. All eyes landed on the giver. Tom, who was famous for loving sweets and putting zero effort into gifts. Tom tried to deny it, but when Jenna flipped the box and found a tiny smear of chocolate on the edge, the entire room exploded into laughter. Tom turned red like a tomato caught in 4K without a camera. From that day on, the chocolate box was displayed in the living room as evidence of what happens when someone gifts half a present. Guests would see it and instantly start laughing. Narrator wraps it up. If you are going to give a gift, at least leave a few good pieces for the recipient for your own dignity if nothing else. Story 21. The suspicious second-hand mattress. When Dylan moved out on his own, he was thrilled that some rarely seen relatives were suddenly so generous and gifted him a mattress to help him save money. That joy lasted exactly 5 seconds. Because the moment he peeled off the plastic, he saw stains. Not normal stains. Stains shaped like a map of a world no one should ever discover. And the smell was even worse to decode half-spilled coffee, half-long-buried family secret. Dylan tried to convince himself the mattress was just suspicious looking, not actually dangerous. But that hope died instantly when his friends came over. One of them took one look and asked, "Did this come with the apartment?" Another stood several feet away like the mattress might start crawling toward them. Dylan finally snapped. He dragged the mattress to the curb and put up a sign. Free comes with one unsolvable mystery. Narrator wraps it up. Some gifts are not meant to be used. They exist purely to remind you that sometimes free is the most expensive price you can pay. Story 22, the 6-month online dating subscription. That Christmas, Rachel's family decided to help her escape the single life by gifting her a 6-month subscription to a dating app. When she opened the envelope, everyone stared at her with so much hope you'd think this gift would rewrite her destiny with a couple of swipes. Instantly, the interrogation began. Did you make your profile yet? Has anyone messaged? What's your type? Rachel wanted to slide under the table and live there. For the next few weeks, her family basically turned her dating life into a group project. If she so much as smiled at her phone, her mom would jump in with, "Is that someone new?" Eventually, Rachel just put the account on sleep mode and let the 6 months pass without a single date. Narrator wraps it up. In American culture, the pressure to be coupled up during the holidays is so strong that sometimes a Christmas gift reflects what others want for you, not what you actually want. Story 23, the USB Pet Rock. In Mark's office, coworkers loved giving gifts that were unique but absolutely useless. So that Christmas, he received a USB pet rock, literally a tiny rock with a USB cable sticking out of it. When he plugged it in, nothing happened. No lights, no sound, no secret app, it simply existed. The whole office immediately launched into an excited investigation. Some people thought it was a secret tracking device. Others were convinced it would unlock a hidden game. A few even placed bets on how long it would take before the rock woke up. Of course, nothing ever happened. Eventually, the USB pet rock became the official symbol of every pointless project the company had ever done pretty in presentations, zero impact in real life. Mark kept it on his desk as a funny reminder that in corporate America, sometimes the most useless thing in the room gets the most attention. Story 24, the Grow a Boyfriend toy for Christmas. Mia's girl group decided to give her a supportive gift, a Grow a Boyfriend toy. It was a tiny rubber man who expands in water, basically a gentle roast about her single status. They even held an official boyfriend dropping ceremony. They set up a glass of water, dramatic lighting, a camera rolling like this was a science experiment that might change humanity. When the little guy started swelling, everyone cheered and joked about the ideal man. Silent, low maintenance, gets bigger when needed, causes zero problems. Mia laughed along and even gave her new man a name. But when the party wrapped up, she looked at the tiny figure floating in the glass and felt a quiet pang she did not say out loud. Narrator wraps it up. Fun gag gifts can make you laugh, but they also remind you that loneliness, even when covered in jokes, is still real. Story 25, the Sudoku toilet paper. Ethan's friends knew he loved math so much he could solve equations while waiting for the microwave. So for Christmas, they gave him the perfect gift, a roll of toilet paper printed with Sudoku puzzles. When he opened it, the whole group burst out laughing. Ethan just stared at the roll, torn between intellectual excitement and biological reality. Immediately, a half-serious debate broke out. Someone asked, if the puzzle isn't finished, are you allowed to use it? Another said, and if you use it, how do you check the answers? Ethan, being Ethan, announced he would take a pencil into the bathroom to maintain mathematical integrity. The problem, he got stuck in there for 20 minutes at a time because he refused to leave before finishing a puzzle. His family eventually started knocking on the door like it was an intervention. Narrator wraps it up. Some gifts test your mind. Some test your hygiene limits. This Sudoku roll unfortunately did both at the same time. Story 26, the Screaming Goat Statue. In Dylan's open space office, co-workers loved giving gifts that got more useless and more chaotic every year. So that Christmas, he received a tiny plastic goat statue. Looked harmless. Until he pressed its belly. Me. The scream blasted out like the goat was announcing the end times. At first, everyone laughed. But within days, the goat became the office's #1 psychological weapon. Swamped with emails, me, deadline chasing you, me, boss walking by. 3 people hit the goat at once like a deranged choir. Every time the goat screamed, the whole office scattered like pigeons. Some people tried noise-canceling headphones, but the sound somehow cut straight into the soul. The narrator adds very accurately, the sound went something like, me, me. Conclusion: corporate America is full of stress, but not everyone gets emotional support in the form of a well-meaning, absolutely unhinged screaming goat. Story 27, the industrial bucket of mayonnaise. During the post-Thanksgiving sales, Lucas's family accidentally, or maybe very intentionally, bought a 5-gallon industrial bucket of mayonnaise, big enough to paint a house with it. Not knowing what to do, they wrapped it up and handed it to Lucas, the relative known for liking cooking. In a very moderate, absolutely not 5 gallons way. Lucas opened the gift and just froze. The whole family cheered, insisting, "You'll use it up in no time." And so began the mayo era. Sandwich mayo, salad mayo, weekend barbecue mayo. One aunt even invented something she proudly called mayo dip, a dish so confusing everyone who tasted it momentarily forgot how to speak. After 2 weeks, the entire household developed a survival instinct to turn away from anything white and creamy. Lucas swore he could hear the bucket whisper "use me" every time he opened the fridge. Narrator wraps it up. Some gifts are not meant to be finished. They exist to remind you that bulk buying is a family-wide mistake. Story 28, the bread in a can. In New England, Aunt Martha is famously proud of her ancient culinary traditions, which include the legendary bread in a can. So that Christmas, she gifted her nephew Eli a can of the stuff, declaring, "This fed our whole region back in your great-grandpa's day." Eli opened it while the entire family cheered with suspicious enthusiasm. When the lid popped off, a brown cylinder of bread slid out like it was trying to escape history itself. It landed upright on the plate, wobbling slightly, looking more like an archaeological soil sample than something humans should eat. Everyone tried to act excited. They each sliced off a tiny piece and chewed. And chewed. And kept chewing, desperately searching for the traditional flavor Martha promised. No one dared admit it was dry as a desert and tasted vaguely like a science project. Eli finally said, "Maybe this is the kind of flavor you have to grow into." Narrator wraps it up. In America, especially New England, some foods survive because of nostalgia, not because anyone actually enjoys eating them. Story 29, the gift card to a store that no longer exists. At the family Christmas exchange, Olivia received a gift card tucked inside a fancy envelope so formal it practically promised greatness. The giver even said proudly, "You're gonna love it. That store sells all the good stuff." The moment she got home, Olivia opened her laptop to plan her shopping spree. Google responded with the coldest message possible: permanently closed. She thought it had to be a glitch, so she called the hotline printed on the card. An automated voice repeated 3 times that the number did not exist anymore, a spiritual experience. Still refusing to accept reality, Olivia drove to the store's address. The building was empty. The glass doors had a for lease sign flapping in the winter wind like it was mocking her. That's when she realized she hadn't been given a present. She had been given a quest with no ending. Narrator wraps it up. Some gift cards aren't for shopping. They're for building character through the fine art of disappointment. Story 30, the empty box with a note saying, "The real gift is our friendship." At the Christmas gift exchange, Jenna received a giant box from her spiritual friend Marissa. It was wrapped in glittery paper with an over-the-top bow, the kind of packaging that screams something expensive is inside. Everyone leaned in as Jenna opened it, and found a single folded note that read, "The real gift is our friendship." The room instantly dropped into that weird silence where everyone pretends this is normal, even though it absolutely is not. Jenna forced a smile and thanked her nonstop, while Marissa nodded proudly, convinced she had delivered pure emotional enlightenment. But yeah, everyone felt the energy was a little off. On the ride home, Jenna sighed to her best friend and asked, "Is there, like, a line between meaningful and just plain cheap?" Her friend replied, "Oh yeah, and that line is sitting right inside the box you just opened." Narrator wraps it up. Friendship is a gift, but it usually does not need to be wrapped inside an entirely empty box. Story 31, the lonely glow-in-the-dark star. That year, little Liam was buzzing with excitement to open a Christmas gift from a distant relative. He was expecting something flashy, maybe a shiny new toy, a brand new picture book, or at least a bag of his favorite candy. But when he tore off the wrapping paper, he found just one glow-in-the-dark star. Just one. Not a whole set like kids usually use to plaster the ceiling. Just lonely, sitting in its little plastic bag, looking like it had been ripped straight out of the night sky. That night, Liam still stuck it to his bedroom ceiling, and as he stared at this sad, dim little star floating in the vast emptiness above, he asked his mom, "Why doesn't it have any friends?" Mom patted his head and said gently, "Sometimes adults give gifts without really thinking about how they'll make the other person feel." That tiny star became the perfect symbol for every gift that makes you go, "Wait, what?" A little reminder that sometimes the gift giver didn't really see you at all. Wrapping up 31 weird Christmas gifts. And that, folks, is a wrap on 31 Christmas gifts so bad you can only shout, "Why?" We've seen the ultimate exploding scale that ruined family dinners, a squirrel who somehow plays the sax, a jar of mayonnaise that survived the apocalypse, a Sudoku that traps you in a puzzle nightmare. And finally, a lonely little star on the ceiling. What all these gifts had in common. The giver didn't really see the person receiving them. So if you've ever unwrapped a gift and just stared at it like, "God, why?" laugh it off. And next time you're giving a gift, remember that feeling. Then give something that actually makes the other person feel seen. Now it's your turn. What's the worst gift you've ever gotten? Drop it in the comments. Let's laugh, cringe, and heal together.